Hello, out there. My name is John Dempsey, and I want to come on here to. I think I've figured out why the Harbinger by Jonathan Kahn says that every 7 years a Harbinger is a warning by God for the country to get back to God. And since 9/11, 2001, the first one happened. The second one happened in 9/11, 2008, 7 years to the day. If you've been reading this book, which everybody in this country should be reading this book, it's called The Harbinger, The Ancient Mystery. Um, and I guarantee if you read that book, you will trip out on it because it's real facts about why this country needs to come back to God, and if it doesn't, real judgment's going to start. Um, and so I want to come on and put this little video on here because I've been thinking about 9/11 and why nothing happened. The second time 9/11 turned around, 7 years to the day, like I just said, the stock market crashed, and it fell 777 points and lost $700 billion. And the guy in this book said, how can that be done? I mean, you know what would have to happen for that number to be reached? Actually it was 777.7 points. And 7 is God's number. So, I just want to say that the only way that date could not have brought a harbinger is because God thinks that either there's got to only be two reasons why. Either because people are really truly repenting and they're coming back to God, and so the harbingers are working, the warning is working, and now this country can look forward to a blessing. That's one reason. Or the other reason is that people are not listening in anyway. And why keep warning them if they're just going to blow you off? So people are blowing God off. They're not repenting. Abortion's still in place. And same-sex marriage is running rapid. So I think God's thinking, well, they're not repenting. They're not heeding the warning. So now judgment's going to start. So all we can do is wait and see. But I'm just here to say that that's the reason why. That's the only reason why that harbinger could not have come. Those two reasons, either because the country is repenting and people are turning back to God and putting away evil practices, and now we'll get a blessing, or because people are not heeding the warning. So God's not going to be a pushover. He's not a pushover. God is not mocked. And people, God gives people so many warnings and waits so long for them to come around that a lot of people think that God's a big pushover and he'll never do anything. Well, God is getting ready to do something because he can't keep giving people so many chances. He's gonna wait for the. See, God waits as long as possible. He wants to, because later on in Judgment Day, he's going to show how long he did wait for people. He's going to say, see, I waited, I waited all this time, gave you every chance possible. That's why he waits so long. He wants to give people every last chance, so people can't say you didn't, wait long enough, you didn't give us every last chance. No, he's going to wait till the full duration of it. And then at the end, then that's it. So, people need to get this book. I mean, it's too late now, but people should still get this book. It'll show reasons why that judgment is going to come. So, this is my explanation on why September 11th Harbinger did not come. Now, I got this off the internet, but it's in the Bible right now, this card right here. It's on the significance of the number 7 and the number 40. When I'm not going to predict that something's going to happen, like all these people predicted September 23rd, that all this stuff was going to happen. I realized that when that didn't happen, that all these people said that stuff was going to happen, I realized that since those things did happen and they were very significant, then the stage is set for all this stuff to happen, but it's not going to come on the same day. The Lord showed me, and I know from reading the Bible, and a lot of people know that God takes His time. But since that happened, now the stage is set for everything to happen. And I believe that some things are going to happen in relation to sevens and 40s. In the Bible, there's a lot of 40s. In the Bible, also, there's the number 7 comes up so many times, and it's very, very significant. I'm going to read some of these things. I'm going to say after I get done reading some of these things that you can probably figure that things, whatever happens next, is going to be in relation to a 7. It might happen like 7 months to the day after September 11th that people didn't repent. 7 months to the day is a number for completion. 7 is a number for completion. So 7 months to the day, something may happen. It may last 40 days. Or something may happen after September 11th or September 23rd, or 12 days apart, for 40 days later, which is tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow is the 40th day from September 11th. 2015. Something may happen. I don't know. If it doesn't, I think it'll happen in 7 months. It could be 7 weeks, 7 months, or 7 years. I think 7 years is way too long. 7 weeks may be too soon. But I'm feeling 7 months. That would be April 23rd, and then also April 11th of next year. And it could last for 40 days over the first wave of this judgment. So I said all that so you can understand what I'm talking about. I think it has to relate to these numbers, because in the Old Testament, all through the Old Testament, when judgment was fallen, it fell for 40 days. It was after 7 years of waiting, or 7 months, mainly 7 years. But now the end's coming too soon for it to be 7 years. I don't think it's going to be 7 years. That's too long. But I'm going to start. I guess I'll start here. I think I'll start here in this side of the card, which I had just made up today at my copier. It's in relation to the number 40. It says that the number 40 is used 159 times in the Bible. It's the number of trial, testing, or judgment. Excuse me. When God destroyed every living thing on the earth by flood, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Because Israel refused to enter the promised land, God condemned them to wander in the wilderness for 40 years. There's another one. The Israelites were given manna in the desert for 40 years to test and humble them. When scourging someone, they could not receive more than 40 lashes. The Israelites were in captivity to the Philistines for 40 years for doing evil. Goliath taunted Israel for 40 days and 40 nights until David defeated them. Ezekiel laid on his right side for 40 days to bear the iniquity of Judah's sins. So that's a 40-day thing right there. And for the iniquity, like the iniquity of the country, it may be related to that. 40 days from that point, which is tomorrow, it might come. Or 40 days from September 23rd, which is 13 days from now. God proclaimed judgment against Egypt, saying it would be desolate for 40 years. God gave Nineveh 40 days to repent or be overthrown. After the flood waters had receded and the tops of the mountains were visible, Noah waited another 40 days to open the window of the ark. So he's probably in there for 40 days thinking, boy, I can't wait to get out of here, all these animals and the smell of them and all that stuff. So that might be related to, when this judgment falls, it kind of relates to that. People will wish they listened, and they're like, man, I can't wait till this ends, and it might last for 40 days. And if it happens that we have to go through something for exactly 40 days, then that'll be pretty significant. It could be any other number, 42, 43, 44, and even 40 days, or 30, or 35, or whatever. But 40 days, it's from God. After the flood, okay, I already read that. Moses was on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights. Let's see. Um, Lent is the 40 days before Easter, not counting Sundays. So there's some 40s for you right there to show you the significance of them. Now I'm going to go on the sevens, which a lot of people know in the book of Revelation. There's a lot of sevens. Um, Nahum washed 7 times in the Jordan. Um, there were 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine in Egypt during the days of Joseph. 7 times the book of life is mentioned in the Bible. The book of Revelation is a book of sevens. We have 7 churches, 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7 personages, 7 vials, 7 dooms, 7 new things. It is the completeness of all things. Jesus said to forgive 70 times 7. Let's see. Life operates in 7 cycles. Changes take place in the body every 7 years. There are 7 bones in the neck, 7 bones in the face, 7 bones in the ankle, and 7 holes in the head. Most births are multiples of 7s. The hen sits 3 weeks at 21 days. It's 3 sevens. The pigeon 2 weeks is 2 sets of 7s. After laying her eggs in 2 weeks. 7 is found 735 times in the Bible. 7-fold is mentioned 6 times. The 7th is found 119 times. The 7th time Noah's name occurred is where it said Noah was just a man and perfect in his generations. The 7 is the number for perfection. So, excuse me. I just want to say all that. I'm not going to predict something is going to happen like all these other guys did. And they're all laughed off. But I am going to say that something is going to happen. But, and it could be related to these numbers. Because they're very significant, and what's getting ready to happen is very significant to our world, and judgment for this country is very significant. So I really do believe that something's going to happen in relation to these 7s and 40s. You can figure it out yourself from the dates that I mentioned. You can do your own research. But what's going to happen is judgment. And everybody knows that it's in the air. Everybody can feel it. And everybody knows that this country has done so many evils and keeps on doing them. My message here is what I just said, but also the last message I'm going to give is that people need to get a hold of God. Even if people don't believe in God or whatever, you should get a hold of Him, because once you're alive, you always have time to get a hold of God. But once you're dead, if you die suddenly, you can't get a hold of Him. I want to give you this. The last thing I'm going to say here before I sign off here is I want to give this example. I don't know if it's really example what exactly it is, but I heard this from a pastor one time, and it makes a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense to me, and a lot of people I preached this to, it made a lot of sense to them too. I'm going to throw it out there. In this life is temporal. It's temporary. And when you step into the next life, it's permanent. God stands on outside of time. This world has time, and it's temporary. God, the next world, will be forever, and it's permanent. And whatever you have in this life, if you have it, you bring it into the next world, and you'll have it forever. If you have it now, if there's a situation that you have now, when you die and you enter into that permanent existence, you'll have it forever. If you have Jesus now, and you get a hold of Him, and you're connected to the vine, like it says in John 15, you're connected to Jesus, you're grafted into the vine. When you enter that perfect, permanent state of being, which is permanent forever, and there's no way to go back, you'll have it forever. You'll have Jesus forever. But if you don't have Him, when you step into the next life, which is permanent, when you step into that next life, if you do not have Jesus, you'll be stuck like that forever. You'll never be able to get Him. You'll be cut off forever, and you'll be in that permanent state, and you'll be, that's it. So if you have Jesus now, when you step into that permanent state, when you pass on, you'll be connected, you'll have Him forever. But if you don't, you'll be cut off forever. So if that makes sense to you, you know how important it is to get Jesus. And because there's going to be a lot of people dying in these tragedies, and they're going to wish that they had Jesus, uh, because they're going to want protection. Jesus is protection for your next life, so that you don't have to go to a place where you're not protected. And if you're not protected, and you're with Satan, and he knows that Jesus cannot protect you, he's going to do the worst to you that he can do. And that's what the people in hell have to suffer. They're begging for a chance to have 1 minute on earth so they can repent and receive Jesus, but they can't. They're in that permanent state forever, and they're cut off forever. So, if you're smart, if you're wise, the wise isn't in the Bible. To be wise is to go for the truth. If you head for God along that path, God's going to give you more truth and more truth. You're going to find out more things to let you know that you are on the right track. But if you cut yourself off and turn away from that truth, and you go the other way has lies. God's over here, and Satan's over here. If you turn away from God and go towards Satan, then all you'll hear is his lies, and they'll seem like the truth to you after a while. So don't cut yourself off. But God won't let you come any closer, because he's not going to force himself on you. He's going to push himself on you. If you don't want him, he'll depart. But he's trying to give you a chance. Yeah, he's trying so bad to get you, but he doesn't need you to live in eternity. He's already living in eternity. He doesn't need you to live in eternity. He's already living in eternity. But he's trying to give you a chance to live with him in eternity. But it's your choice. It boils down to your choice. That's one of the videos I have, which I'm going to get ready to redo again, because it has too much art back and forth, and I'm going to do it. It's going to be better. I had some crummy equipment in those days, but I have better equipment now. I'm going to redo that one. But it does boil down to people's choices. It's your choice, whatever you choose. You choose to believe, and you'll be on the right track listening to God, because God can't lie. And when you get closer to him, you'll have more truth and more wisdom all the time. But if you turn yourself away from that and go and say, I don't want you, God, then God's not going to push himself on you. You can go away, but you ain't going to like the consequence. Eventually, you're going to end up going where that path that you're leading to goes, which is deception, Satan, and hell. So, what I'm saying is choose God now before you go to sleep. Because there is going to be some people dying in their sleep tonight. And if people hear this and they do it before they go to sleep, then they'll be glad they did. Anyway, that's my explanation on why the Harbinger did not fall, and also a plea for everybody to get right. And if you don't do it, it'll be to your own demise. So think about everything. Think about what I said, and realize that you need Jesus. Jesus is the life preserver that God is throwing to you. Signing off from Tucson, Arizona, this is John Dempsey.